Hi, good people. I hope you are doing great. I'm also doing great. I welcome you to my pt3. Stay tuned and let us continue with our discussion on marriage as we started. I am your Counsellor JK. Once again, welcome to my pt3. We started talking about types of marriage. We saw the main types of marriage that is found in this part of our world, or Ghana here. We mentioned the customary marriage, which is a traditional marriage, and we said that the traditional marriage, as some of you may call it as engagement, it's not an engagement, it is marriage in its sense. And the laws of Ghana accept it and recognize it. Well, this marriage is a polygamous marriage where the man can marry more than one. In fact, up to any limit that he thinks or feels he can. Then he also mentioned the Mohammedan law or Mohammedan marriage or the Islamic marriage. It's also polygamous to extent. The man will be able to marry up to 3 according to Islamic rules. And then the ordinance, the marriage under the ordinance, which is also called the Marriage Act Cap 127, and it's the same as the church marriage. In fact, the certificate which is signed at the church, it's more or less the same thing or similar thing which is signed at the marriage registrar's office or the courts. So the church one, after signing, the pastor in charge takes the counterfoil or the other part to the marriage officer's place, whether the district office or the court, wherever that has been designated for that. And we started talking about the customary marriage or the traditional marriage. And you saw that the main thing is the bride price. We talked about it the other time. Now we started also talking about the customary, the ordinance. And then we said that one of the will-be couples can go to the registrar of marriages office to sort of register to marry. And then when you do that registration, after 21 days of posting it on their notice board, after 21 days, if the couple wish to do the court marriage, as we call it, or the district assembly one, then he or they, the couples, can go to the marriage registrar's office and then they will formalize the marriage. And here they need witnesses, 1 or 2 witnesses from the man's side and that of the woman's side. And then the marriage officer will officiate the marriage. The couples will sign the marriage certificate and now they are good to go. But however, if you want to do it the church way, after the 21 days, the marriage officer will issue a certificate to marry. And this certificate will be sent to your church. Then the church will also, based on the notice, the church will also announce it to the church members that this or these people of our church will be marrying in so and so date. Now, when the certificate to marry is given you, it lasts for 3 months. So within that 3 months, the couples can prepare themselves to marry. After 3 months, they have to file it again. Now, we are coming to the church one. Now, as I said the other time, the church one, most of the pastors or most of the reverend ministers have been gazetted, have been registered, duly registered as marriage officers. 2, the chapels, the churches, the place of worship, some have also been registered as a place to marry. Note that not every chapel has been gazetted or registered for the celebration of marriage. And note that not all pastors have been gazetted to represent the marriage officers in their churches. A church like Presbyterian Church of Ghana, as I know, the pastors, after your commission, as soon as you are commissioned or as soon as you become fully fledged minister, the church actually will do the registration for all their ministers. So more or less they do it in batches. Every year the new pastors who have been commissioned as fully fledged ministers are registered as marriage officers. However, there may be a pastor or reverend minister in a chapel, and that chapel may not be registered for marriages. The pastor cannot officiate the marriage there. The pastor can go to his district church or a bigger church, which is of course same denomination, to perform the marriage for his or her church member who is getting married. So we should note that where you are marrying, you should be sure the place is gazetted for marriage. Sometimes you see somebody, some people officiating, celebrating marriage somewhere in some gardens, beaches, some weird places. You ask yourself, is that place gazetted? Is that place registered for marriage? If not, then the marriage will be null and void. And as I told you the other time, marriage is not celebrated on holidays. If you do that, it is classified as null and void. Now let's come to the church. Having satisfied all these, a member from the church who wishes to marry inform the pastor in charge or the reverend minister, or through the elders. It's done through the elders of the church. So you see the elder of the church, what the Presbyterians call it, the session members. Okay, so you see your session member, you inform him or her or an elder of the church, and then the will-be couple, the man and the woman, both with their parents or their parent representatives, will meet the church board or the session, and then they will show their intention to marry to each other. So here the church makes sure that both families have agreed to the marriage. The church doesn't want to officiate or celebrate marriage where parents will come and they'll say that we actually didn't agree to the marriage, but the pastor has done the marriage. No. So both parents will come, and then the church actually, the church board actually asks them that whether they agree that the marriage goes on. So the church one, that's the step one. And I'm sure it is done in the Pentecost church, and I'm sure it is done in the Methodist church. I may not know much about other churches, but I'm sure most of the Christian churches, that's what they do. After that, a counselor will be assigned to the will-be couples. With the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, the period of counseling is 3 months. There are some churches 6 months, depending on the church. Some 6 months, some 4 months, or 3 months. And then they will give you a counselor, marriage counselor, who will run you through some topics that will help you in marriage, like why marriage, importance of marriage, how to deal with the both, how to handle your in-laws, everything, home care, so many things that will help you in your marriage journey is taught or is discussed during the period of counseling. There are some places or some churches, the elder who has been assigned to you or the counselor who has been assigned to you will visit the will-be couple, the man, visit the man's home and see whether really the man has a place to stay. You see, we believe that as a man, before you marry, or before you propose to marry somebody, you should have at least a house, not a house, a room, a place to stay. Even if it's a single room and it is well furnished, you have a place to sleep, you have a place to sit, at least you have your basic things. We are not saying you should build a mansion, you should have vehicles, no. At least you should have a place that you can call home, where you marry and you take your wife to. You don't marry and take your wife to your parents' house, go to stay with your parents. No. You should have your own place that you actually stay in. Okay? So as I said, if you are well-to-do enough, you have your own house, fine. If you have a rented apartment, whichever bedroom house that you have, no problem. But at least you must have the basic accommodation that at least we know you are moving your wife to stay with you in that house. And then the church, the counselor, will urge you with the Presbyterian Church to do the necessary tests, like the HIV test, like the sickle cell test, like hepatitis B test, these kind of tests. And I know there are some churches, they insist, and they will assign you to their own church doctor or their own church clinic or hospital, where they will do these tests, the HIV test, the hepatitis B test, the sickling test, and pregnancy test. There are some churches, they insist. But with the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, as I know, they don't insist, but they will urge you, they will encourage you to do the test. Because if it happens that a man with AS, this sickling cell thing, marry to another lady with an AS, it is likely you give birth to SS, sickle cell. And if the lady or one of the partners happen to be SS, sickle cell throughout, and one partner happens to be AS, it is about 70% certain that you're going to give birth to SS, to the sickle cell person. And if both man and a woman are sickle cell, it is like, yes, 100% you are going to give birth to SS, sickle cells. And you know, if you happen to have children, 1, 2, 3 children with SS, the problem that you go through with their crisis, when they are in their crisis, when the medical fees and all those things, it's not easy. That's why we urge you to do it, so that if you know your sickling or your sickle cell status, then you can take a decision before you enter into the marriage. After going through the test and you still insist that you go through, the counselor will just offer you counseling, will advise you, will tell you the dangers If you agree, you break up from there. If you think you go ahead and probably you are not going to give birth, fine. But we urge you to do that. But as I said, there are some churches, they will insist. And when it's found out that your sickling status may not be good for you to marry, they will not celebrate the marriage for you, officiate the marriage for you. So in some churches, as I said, that's what they do. And once you started your counseling, the counselor will ask you or will tell you to go to the TMA, the district assembly, to register or to marry. Okay, to go and register your marriage to get them certificate to marry. So by that 21 days, as I stated early on, it will be there. And then by the 21 days, probably your counseling session will also be getting closer to completion. And then after going through the counseling session, the counselor or the elder or the session member who has been assigned to you will report back to the church board or will report back to the minister or the pastor in charge that it's complete, everything is set. And then sometimes the marriage list, as they call it, as the family of the woman will give to the man. Sometimes the church looks at it, and if there is a place that the church they think is too high and the church can plead on behalf of the man, sometimes they see the church see or talk to the family members of the girl, at least to make things a bit easier, less expensive for the marriage or for the couples. You see, the church wish that marriage becomes as easy, as simple as possible for the youth to get married. And sometimes you see some families have a long list, expensive list, which prevents the youth from getting married. So sometimes the church cannot change it. We only plead that the family members of the girl will at least adjust things and reduce the amount of money involved, at least for the youth to also get married. And then, having done this, the church will announce, it should be announced 3 times in the church with the language which is spoken in the area of the church. So let's say, typically, if there's a marriage going to take place in a place like Begro, which typically they speak the Achim language or the Akan language, they will announce it in English and Twi. If let's say it's going to take place in a place like Usu, obviously they speak Ga and then English. So it will be announced in Ga and English. So it should be announced 3 times. There will be couples will come in front of the church to the congregation, and then we will look at them. And then when the time comes, as I said, the set date, the Reverend Minister will officiate the marriage. And on that day, with the churches, you need 2 people from each side of the couple to witness. And basically, mostly is the mothers and the fathers. Then the Reverend Minister in charge will sign, and then sometimes an elder or the session member on duty will also sign. So basically, this is about the church marriage. And now with the church, as I said, we are trying to make it easier for the youth to get married. So there are some churches, they advise that if you're able to satisfy the traditional one, you see, before the reverend minister or the pastor will officiate the church marriage for you, you make sure you would have done the home one. Okay, the home marriage. You do the home one simple, and then we'll officiate the church one also for you. And having done the home one, some of the pastors advise that if you don't have enough money to do that big wedding where you invite a lot of people, we have lunch, we have dinner, we have great reception. If you don't have such an amount to buy suits, to buy wedding gowns and whatever, whichever dress that you have, whichever attire that you have, you come to the church, the pastor's office, having satisfied the family issues. Come to the church office with 2 witnesses from the girl's side and 2 from the man's side. You come to the church office. The pastor will officiate the marriage for you in the office. And that's all. You are married. You see, the reception and the refreshment aspect, it's not actually part of the marriage. That's not marriage. But some people think, yes, God has blessed me, I have enough money, I would like to celebrate with my friends. That's a good idea. And somebody also can decide to have his birthday, invite friends come over. That's good. Somebody will be moving to a new house, will do a housewarming, friends come over, they celebrate. That's fine. But if you don't have the resources, if you don't have the funds, but you need to marry, it is not by force, as a Ghanaian person would say, it's not by force to do reception. It's not by force to do dinner. It's not by force to do lunch. All that you need is that you have satisfied the family and that you have come for the pastor or the reverend minister to officiate the marriage for you. Here, you don't need any money. Seriously, the church marriage, you don't need any money. All that you need is yourself, your wife to be, and 2 from her side and 2 from your side. And then the reverend minister or the pastor. That is all. You are good to go. Somebody may decide to do it even on Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So here you need about 6 or 8 people, and marriage is set. The man marrying plus 2 from his side. The woman marrying plus 2 from his side. That will be 6. And then the reverend minister and maybe 1 elder in charge. That's all. Probably with your counselor. And then you are good to go. But the pastor will still officiate the marriage. You sign your marriage register. And you are good to go. So, brothers and sisters, especially the youth who are not yet married, if you want to marry, just talk to your reverend minister. Just talk to your session members. Talk to the elders. They will tell you, you don't need a suit to marry. You don't need wedding gown to marry. You need to understand each other. But if the funds is there and you want to celebrate with your friends, with family members, so be it. But technically, the refreshment and the party and the after party, some people, they will even do a bachelor's night. These technically are not part of marriage. So you can do away with all these and you can still have your marriage legally. Okay, so we shouldn't let marriage to be so difficult, so terrifying that we can't venture. All that you need is to satisfy the home, the customary aspect, because as Africans, as Ghanaians as we are, you can't just take a woman away and say, I'm going to do a court marriage. And no, the family members must accept it before the Reverend Minister also actually celebrates or officiates the marriage for you. So in short, these are the kinds of marriage that we have. We talk of the traditional marriage or customary marriage, which I said is also a form of marriage which is accepted. And then I mentioned the Islamic one. We are not able to talk about it. As I said, I'm still in talk with somebody who is an authority to talk about the Islamic marriage. And then the ordinance one, or the church marriage. So in short, somebody said even the Christians will marry too. Yes, the Christians believe that having married traditionally, we have to present our marriage before our God that we serve. The Christians believe that until the pastor or until your marriage is blessed, until your marriage is brought to the altar of God, that will not be good for God. It will be seen as adultery or fornication. So you bring your marriage, you bring the woman before the altar, then the pastor blessed for you, then you have the right to your wife. That's what the Christians believe. So yes, you may say so that they married twice, fine. But you do the home one, then you present it before the altar, and the pastor will bless it for you. You sign your marriage certificate in addition, and then you are good to go. People, thank you for your attention. I'll end here. I've been your counselor, JK. Thank you for watching my pt3. We'll come your way next week. Bye-bye.